The webinar offers a closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the blue widget or the CC in a box located on the bottom left of the screen. Welcome to the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection webinar. We have adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. Please note any website or email that I mentioned will be posted in the chat box. All BACP offices are open to limited members of the public. Masks are required in all BACP facilities. For those seeking business licensing assistance, we strongly encourage the processing of license and permits online. Business licenses can be applied for or renewed online at chicagobusinessdirect.org, or you can call 312-74-GO-BIZ. If you're a part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn more about the program, please visit chicago.gov/businesseducation. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be available to view at youtube.com/ChicagoBACP. I will post the before mentioned information in the chat box. We encourage all attendees to ask questions. Please use the chat box and send your questions to all panelists. There will be a Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Today's webinar will be Nuts and Bolts of Business Planning and Financial Readiness for Startups, presented by Small Business Majority. Turning it over to Geri.
Hi, good morning, everybody. We're going to go over nuts and bolts of business planning and financial readiness for startups. My name is Geri Aglipay, and thank you for our wonderful partners at the City of Chicago, BACP, for having me today. We're going to go over nuts and bolts for business planning and financial readiness for startup. Just a bit about a background about Small Business Majority. We are a 501c3 nonprofit education and policy organization. We empower America's small business owners and for self-employed to ensure a thriving and equitable economy with a focus on the smallest of the small businesses and those facing systemic inequalities. Majority of the business owners in our network are actually self-employed and have under 20 employees. Of our network of 85,000 businesses who engage in our trainings and advocacy nationwide. And 2/3 of those business owners are actually women, and about 2/3 are also owners of color. Not only do we deliver free training with our partners such as BACP today, but we also make sure that your voice is heard at the table as small business owners on equitable access to capital, leveling the field, and making sure your stories are being heard. We also engage in research, identifying what are those barriers that would that need to be found solutions, collectively speaking, to support more equitable paths to entrepreneurship. So why entrepreneurship? Well, why entrepreneurship? Small business ownership actually provides the freedom to create income and build wealth. You've probably heard a lot about the wealth gap, the gender wealth gap, the racial wealth gap. Gender wealth gap, surprisingly, for many people, we know that women make less than men, but they retire actually with 80 times less wealth than men. So small business owning one is one way to create income to supplement financial security later in life. We also know that there is a racial wealth gap in this country, and especially in greater Chicagoland as well. Small business ownership actually is a very critical component that the mayor's office has been leading the way for many of its business programs to help support businesses that not only provide economic opportunity and job creation, but also closing the wealth gap. Again, it's earning income, but you can do it as a part-time endeavor, but you can do it also as a full-time endeavor. It's not necessarily a full-time job. Sometimes you want to keep your day job as well. And how are you becoming an entrepreneur? Well, you can either operate as a self-employed entrepreneur, which actually about 90% of owners are self-employed. For example, 94% of Black-owned businesses are self-employed businesses. They don't have any other employees but themselves, paying themselves a cut. If they do have employees, it's other freelancers that they'll hire regularly. So you can be a self-employed entrepreneur, or you can be a small employer firm. Many businesses, small businesses in this country are actually micro businesses, meaning they have 10 employees or less. So when you're thinking big, innovatively, being small is thinking big, because owning a small business locally in your neighborhood, not only how to builds wealth, but it builds wealth from creating sustainable business revenue that generates that income for you. Now, we're on the heels of coming upon Black History Month soon, so in February, but I also wanted to point out the history that we see of business owners, female business owners, Black owned business owners, of that legacy. And in this slide, you see We Like Lucy. Well, I have this slide up to show this legacy to carry forth economically of business ownership, especially by women, and in this case, Black owned businesses who are women. We have Lucy Foster, who was enslaved, but she became an entrepreneur after she was bequeathed $50, an acre of land, and a cow. She actually was running a tavern for travelers en route to Boston. We have in Texas Lucille Bishop Smith, whose family now runs a foundation. She actually was the first African American businesswoman of Texas, creating a biscuit mix that actually was served frequently on American Airlines flights and in the White House to President Lyndon B. Johnson. And here in Chicagoland, we have Lucy Olivia Knox. Some of you may be familiar with the Woodlawn area. Lucy Olivia Knox was the owner of Chez Olivia Salon in Woodlawn from the 1930s to the 1960s, when the Woodlawn area and 63rd Street was thriving, and it is continuing to thrive today, growing those small businesses in that area with our partners such as Greater Southwest Development Corporation, who also works with the city of Chicago. So there is a legacy of small businesses that is to be carried forward that you can also seize upon. What drives entrepreneurship? Well, it's revenue, of course, as it said, revenue and income. You want to make sure you have a product or service that reaps revenue. Have you been doing that market research? Is it actually, sellable? Will it make revenue? Do you also have the customers who will buy it? Do you have the human resources aside from yourself? Who is going to help deliver or create that product? And what's your strategy for efficient operations so you don't have leakage, meaning you're not losing money as you're making the product or creating the service to deliver? What is your marketing? Are you appropriately marketing to the client who will buy your product and with the channels they frequent? If it's an older demographic, let's say it's elderly seniors in their 70s and 80s, they may not actually be targeting social media. You may not want to use social media. So think about those marketing channels. And very important, which we are going to be focused on today, is your financial tools. These are just examples of financial tools. We're not going to go over it, but that is extremely important. Tools to help you drive revenue and income. Make sure that you're actually making money and creating wealth at the end of the day, paying all your expenses. So I want to go into starting a business. Where do you start? Well, there's first your business model and business plan. As I said here in this slide, you need a product or service that reaps revenue. Well, what does that mean? Oftentimes that's called your business model. I know it sounds very, lofty. What is your business model? But essentially your business model is, what is the service or product that you are selling? What is it that you want to deliver? What are you providing? What's that service? What's that product? How are you going to sell the product or service? Essentially, your business model is, how do you plan to make money? And there are worksheets and tools. I know it sounds simple and you can say, well, I plan to make money by selling tamales, Geri. I plan to make money by crocheting scarves, Geri. Well, that's great, but let's build out even more, because there are actually tools that will help you in your time, spare time, or time that you've allotted to build your business. And one tool that we want to share with you today is called the Idea Napkin. And it's a very simple one-page worksheet. Like you write on the back of a napkin in a coffee shop when you have this wonderful, brilliant idea. The Idea Napkin kind of helps you organize it. So this is a business model worksheet, the Idea Napkin. And these slides will be sent to you. But here on this slide is an example and a copy of the Idea Napkin. You can also download this online as well for free. But the Idea Napkin, and you can create as many as you want if there's a particular business model that you have, but different incarnations of it. You're going to start at the 10 o'clock, who are you? Start at the 10 o'clock, who are you? Who are you? Not just who you are at work, but who are you? Are you a mom? We have intersecting personalities. Are you a mother? Are you a sister? Are you a wife? Are you a worker? If so, what kind of a worker are you? Are you, do you work in a cafe? Are you a lawyer? Who are you? Are you somebody who's also is tired of paying your student loan debts? Write down who you are. And then you move to what are you offering? Jot that down. Who are you offering it to? Why does that person care? And then what are your distinctive competencies? Competencies are the knowledge that you have over others, the skills that you have that's unique over others, and the attitudes that you have over others, and your experience as well. What are your distinctive competencies? So, for instance, if you want to start a lawn care business, great. But what if you've never mowed lawns before, as opposed to your brother who wants to start a lawn care business, but he has experience because he mowed lawns in the neighborhood growing up. But maybe your distinctive competencies is you are an engineer who actually understands tools and how to upkeep them, and you're a business person. So again, what is your distinctive competencies as to what your business model is? So idea napkin is a good place to start. You may have an idea in hand already, great, but this is going to flesh it out even more so that you are on the path to being profitable. You also need a business plan. It helps you focus. It helps you plan your next steps accordingly with the capacities and time you have. It also helps you to operate and grow your business. And the business plan will always change. It's a guide, it's a tool. It'll also help you test your idea, your business model with others. It can also help you reduce your risk to save time and money rather than thinking and having everything in your brain in the cloud. It helps you also to understand, am I really marketing my business to the right customers? And as you grow your startup business, eventually that business plan and when you write it down, it will also be evidence of help to funders that you've actually put some thought into your business. It will actually help you obtain funding. So your business plan, you're probably wondering, well, what is that? There's two types. There's a traditional one, which probably many of you know about. Very long, lengthy, multiple pages. And it's legitimate. A lot of companies use it when they want to take it to the next phase of growth. But then I want to share with you the lean business plan. It's a one-page business plan. Very short, high level. You can use it for any business as well as the traditional. But as a startup, you may want to start with the lean business plan, especially because it's a very relatively simple plan. And many people who start up their businesses already have a full-time job or two jobs already. So your time is valuable. And you also may be managing family. In the time of this pandemic with recovery, time is valuable. So using a lean business plan may help you also organize your time when your capacity is also limited. I'm going to show you a copy of the lean business plan model. This is called the business model canvas. There are different types of lean business plans that are one page out there. This particular business lean plan is called the canvas. And as you can see here, and you can download this online, but this is an example of a Canvas lean business plan. The Canvas lean business plan, as you see here, is Susan, the nutritionist. She filled this out. She sees a problem being a mother herself. She's seeing post-pregnancy weight issues, post-pregnancy motivation issues, and a lack of knowledge of weight and nutrition for those who've just had their babies. She sees existing alternatives for weight loss, so she writes that down. But what is her solution? She filled out the idea napkin. She knows herself. She's a personal expert because she herself has gone through pregnancies. In fact, maybe even 3. All-in-one stop shop. She wants to be an all-in-one stop shop for both training and nutrition. She's also a certified trainer. So she's thinking, how can I make this my business? What are her metrics? Meaning, how can she know she's making an impact so that she can create money? Well, she'll know by seeing how many online visitors she has and how many came through and secured her services. She'll also see, is she having an uptake in Facebook ads and purchases? And how many coupons have been used for people to try her out, maybe on Groupon? These are her indicators. These are measures to see how well she's doing as well. So her unique value proposition, she's a single mom, see more downs than ups. She has a stellar attitude. She's trained also more than 200 people and has only pleasant testimonials. This is who she is, her unique value proposition. But I want to go back. This unique value proposition that you see in this middle box, this is reflective of who are you in this slide of the idea napkin. So now you're moving, as you can see, from the idea napkin to your business plan and fleshing it out even more, your business model into a business plan. It is evolving now into a business plan. You go more to the right, the box of unfair advantage. Well, she's saying she can't be. What is your unfair advantage? What is it that nobody else can copy her easily or bot? Well, she actually has been a competition. She's been in competition. She writes that down. She's thinking nobody else, not nobody else, but very rare can others say that they're a trainer who's competed and run major awards and been a mother. Her channels, when you go down below in that box of channels, she's identified how is she going to attain those customers. Local gym, Facebook ads, and word of mouth. And then, of course, there's her customer segments. Let's go down to the bottom left-hand corner, cost structure. This is essentially how she's going to make money. What is she going to be pricing things? Susan sees, okay, I have Facebook ads. It's going to be $1,200 a year. I have to host at the gym. Okay, I have to pay membership fees, $400 a year. Or hosting a website. At the gym, I have to pay membership at every gym that my clients want to train at. So that's $9,600 a year she's going to have to pay. And then gas and such. So to sell her service, okay, to sell her service, Susan has estimated it's going to cost her $13,600 a year just to sell her services. So she needs to recoup those costs and make additional money to pocket for herself. How is she going to do that? Let's move to the lower right-hand corner, the revenue streams. How is she going to cover her costs in doing business of $13,600? Well, she plans on having one-on-one sessions, to make $5,400 a month. She plans on group sessions too. So her goal is to make roughly $79,200, let's say $80,000 a year to cover her costs of doing business of $13,600. Now, mind you, so then that would be her profits after subtracting what her costs are. Mind you, also, she may have additional costs for health insurance and such. But this is a very basic, high-level model of what a business model, what a business plan that's a lean business plan would look like. And this is an example of a traditional business plan. As you can see, this one is probably about 25 to 30 pages. This is also legitimate. Many businesses use this one if they are seeking funding, especially if they're looking for equity funding or an investor. But for startups, recommend you might want to start with the one-page business plan, often called the lean business plan. This example is called the Canvas, but there are other one-page out there, but this is one of the most popular ones that we use and many of our partners as well. So you have a business plan, you have a business model, and you have a business plan with the ID napkin. Those are two tools. How do you also now have financial foundations for success? Well, you need to be a legal business on paper. And I want to emphasize this because in the last 2.5 years with COVID, there were a lot of businesses that the city of Chicago, BACP, and Small Business Majority knew of. But there are also a lot of businesses that were operating quite legitimately for the last 10, maybe even 20 years. Unfortunately, they never set their business up properly legally on paper. And so when emergency aid was coming through for COVID, when you are not set up properly on paper and you're not organized, it's very challenging to receive that aid because, of course, they want to reduce fraud and they want to make sure that you are who you say you are on paper as a business. So we're going to go over how you become a legal business on paper as a financial foundation for success, because it is critical for you to obtain that money. Oops, Geraldine, I accidentally hit my keyboard. Did I close the screen?
You did. You might have to start sharing one more time.
Okay, let me share there. Okay, how's that?
There you go.
Thank you. All right, so financial foundations for success. You need to organize your business. Establish business bank accounts separate from your personal ones. Use budgets and maintain organized record keeping and files. Those organized record keeping and files should be your financial records and statements and your non-financial records and statements. And when we say maintain organized record keeping and files, we don't mean piles of paper where it's going to be difficult for you to trace receipts and records for maybe tax purposes and getting credit. And we don't mean, and this happens a lot, and I know it's done, so it's, it's not uncommon, but it's not helpful when you use maybe plastic grocery bags to file things away or a Nike and Adidas shoebox. You may understand it, but it's going to be very challenging when you're called to find those records. So organized record keeping and files means an actual file system and online ability to also access many of your records as well if needed. That's what we mean by organized record keeping and files. When I want to talk about business bank accounts, as I said, separate your business and checking from your personal. You need to do that and track business income and expenses separate. The reason why having separate business bank accounts is you need to know if you're actually making money. And it's very challenging if you're mixing your business and your personal. And if you don't know if your business is making money, then you don't know if actually your juice is worth the squeeze, I like to say a lot of times. Are you doing a lot of these activities and expending efforts and not making money? Then honestly, a lot of times people will say, you could call it a business, but it's more a hobby at that point after a few years and you're not making money. You need to also understand whether your business is making money. And the first step is separating your business and savings account from your savings account. You also want to make sure that you have a separate business account for your cash reserves. That can be a buffer in case of adverse cash flow situations. Let's say a truck, you have your delivery truck for your bakery items and a wheel axle broke. Well, you don't want to take out a loan on that at like 8%. A cash reserve for, fixing that for $600 is easier to do. So that's why you also want to have a business checking account and savings separate from your personal. Also, separating your business finances, you need to make sure that you're tracking your business expenses because they also could be tax deductible. But you also, not only can they be tax deductible in keeping your receipts, you need to file business taxes if you're making $400 or more. And if you're using an app payment vendor like PayPal or Venmo to collect money as a small business owner, self-employed, let's say you're working on the weekends at the farmer's market. Well, now with the recent law, if you are earning as a business, even if you're self-employed, $600 or more and receiving if you're receiving money as a business through payment vendors of $600 or more, that's actually going to be reported to the IRS. So if you don't keep organized files, it's going to cause some problems later on. Paying money into the IRS as a self-employed, also reminder, we don't like paying taxes, but the benefit of that is you're paying into your future. You're paying into your Social Security. And that's why it's important regarding business taxes. One of the sad stories that we've heard sometimes is family businesses where, one is a husband didn't pay his wife. This is actually a friend of mine who he owned his dental business. and just assumed it would be okay. Well, because he didn't pay his wife and file taxes, my friend's mother wound up with no Social Security when retirement happened. So there's a reason for taxes. It's not just to pay for the community good and services like your streets and sanitation. It's also supporting your financial future as well. And we often forget about that. How do you file taxes as self-employed? You will be using your own personal, regular income taxes, and simply use Schedule C to report business income as a self-employed entrepreneur. Most small business owners who are self-employed use Schedule C on their personal taxes to report their business income. And separating your finances, again, it tracks if you're really making money. You should also separate your finances for your own personal liability. If you become a business entity like an LLC, it does require that you separate financials. So if you do decide to incorporate as a single member LLC, it is required you separate your financials, your business financials from your personal. If you're even a sole proprietor, we still recommend that you separate your business financials from your personal. You also need to use an EIN number when you create your business accounts, and do not use your Social Security number. And I'm going to go through what this means, your EIN number. Of course, you also want to make sure you have budgets, a startup budget, and an operating budget. Your startup budget is going to help you figure out how much do you need to put into this business first to make money. You do have to cover your expenses. It's called the cost of doing business. And then there's your operating budget after you start up. This is an example of a budget for a child care center. This is a startup budget, one-time fees. Some of these one-time fees are fencing. As you can see here under furniture and fixtures, it's a one-time fee of fencing around for the children. Close to $4,000, $3,795.
Jerry, are you able to make the screen full screen again?
Oh, it's not full screen?
No, they're smaller right now. There's an option in the bottom that we see that looks like a full screen computer screen.
Oh, it's full screen on my screen. It's so strange. Let me see. I'm not sure. Is this full screen?
No, we're actually seeing the slide that you're actually on in the next slide.
Oh, how weird. Okay.
You're not in presentation mode anymore?
No, let me try this.
Perfect.
Oh, this is good?
Yeah, it's not the right slide, but yes, it's full screen now.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
No, thank you for interrupting. I did not want people to feel that they couldn't see anything. Okay, how's that?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Is that the slide you need?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
No, it's not. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is the slide. So this is the example of a startup cost of a startup budget. As you see here, fencing is $3,700. That's a one-time cost. $3,795. So this is a startup budget. A lot of one-time costs. Some of them are going to be ongoing, but this is your first initial cost. And then this is your operating budget. And this is laid out by month and sales and such. I'm not going to go over it, but you can see the difference between when you get these slides, the difference between the startup cost budget and then your operating budget, which you're actually going to be keeping track every month to see if you're making money. So make sure that you have budgets in place, because you want to make sure that you are not spending any more that you need to. Or when you get to this operating budget, do you need to pull back on how much you're producing? Or do you need to change the cost of something in order to make money? That's what budgets are also going to be helping with. So how do you become a legal business on paper? Well, there are some steps here. You want to decide on your business structure and the business name. What you'll first do is check to see that your business name is not already been taken. You could be Geraldine BACP, or you could be Cupcakes Are Us. So you can use your name, or you could use another name that doesn't hold your own legal birth name. What you will do is then you would file the paperwork with the appropriate city, county, or state government to formalize the structure or business name. Now, at this point, after you've selected your business name and you're looking at the structure, you're probably wondering, what is my business structure? There's generally 3 types of business structures for startups, single owner startups, that you will be looking at. There's sole proprietorship, there's single owner LLC, or an S corp. These are the generally speaking, these are the 3 main ones that startups tend to look at and choose as one of their business structures. If you will choose the route of being a sole proprietorship, you will actually apply for a doing business as certificate from Cook County. There would be also an additional fee, not just the certificate fee, but to an additional fee to list your businesses in approved publications for a number of weeks. So that's if you go the sole proprietorship route for a structure. If you choose the structure to incorporate as a single owner LLC or an S corp, you would apply at the state government. In Illinois, you would apply with the Secretary of State of Illinois. So again, there are 3 types of business structures that, generally speaking, self-employed would choose one of: sole proprietorship, single owner LLC, or S corporation. After you've identified your business name and which business structure is best for you, you would then take the paperwork from your sole proprietorship, your single owner LLC, or S corp, and you go online to irs.gov and obtain a business tax ID number under your business name. This is important. This is called your Federal Employer Identification Number. Sometimes it's called an FEIN number, and sometimes it's called an EIN number. So now that you've gotten your paperwork as to what your business structure is, you will actually go online to irs.gov and obtain a business tax ID under your business name using that paperwork from your how you've structured your business. It takes less than 3 minutes to do this. Honestly, it takes less than 3 minutes to go to irs.gov with your paperwork and obtain an EIN number online. After you've obtained the EIN number, you actually want to obtain your accounting software so that you could track your financial transactions, your transactions from your business bank account and to who you're paying. So you want to get that in place. Make sure you're getting that, be it QuickBooks or another accounting software. Then you open a business bank account. And how do you open a business bank account? Well, you simply take that EIN number in step 2 that you obtained. It took under 3 minutes. You take that EIN number that you obtained in step 2, and in step 4, you are actually going to go to the bank with that EIN number and open your business bank account. Do not use your social security number. And you will open your business bank account with the paperwork that recognizes your business structure and your business name. That is how you open your business bank account, using an EIN number. And oftentimes, sometimes business owners will open the bank account and use their social security number, not even realize that about what an EIN number could be used for. Your EIN number can be used for a number of things, especially if you're applying for government grants and such. That's going to be used instead of your social security number. It also protects you personally. After you do that, feel free then to use your business bank account so that you can begin to purchase equipment, materials, open doors, start sales. Start making your sales, providing services, or selling your products. So that was a lot that I went over, but I'm going to give an example of that. Here we have Roxanne Rockstar Plumber. She completed her plumbing license, or she just got her plumbing license, and she completed her apprenticeship for 5 years. I think it's wonderful. It's a female plumber. Anyways, she's like, I'm completing my apprenticeship. I'm going to start my own business. So what she does before she actually starts obtaining insurance and doing business for hire, she becomes a business on paper. What Roxanne, the rock star plumber, decides to do, she thinks one of the three structures, she selected single owner LLC. She actually has decided, I'm going to use my own name, Roxanne Rockstar, licensed plumber. So she goes online at the Illinois Secretary of State to make sure her business name isn't taken, make sure nobody else has Roxanne Rockstar, licensed plumber. She then pays the fee to incorporate as a single member LLC and then receives the paperwork. From that paperwork, she goes to the bank and she goes to IRS and obtains her EIN number. Then she obtains a financial record keeping and then opens a bank account with that EIN number. She goes to find help with one of our resource partners with the City of Chicago. That's a small business navigator agency, a small business opportunity center, or a small business neighborhood development center, all of which offer free assistance in the City of Chicago. So that's how Roxanne became a legal business on paper. But you're also wondering, okay, Geri, what about the business bank account? Well, here's an example of how you would use your business bank account. Roxanne, Rockstar licensed plumber, she actually saved $2,000 in her personal bank account for plumbing equipment. Because she set up a business bank account, what she did was she transferred $2,000 to her business bank account and then recorded that as an owner investment in her business. Then she used the $2,000 from her business bank account to buy the plumbing equipment. She did not use the $2,000 directly from her personal account to buy the plumbing equipment. She has a record that it's her business that spent $2,000 to buy the plumbing equipment. It's also a record that she has $2,000 of what we call owner equity in the business. She put her own, it shows investors, future investors in her business, future lenders at the bank, that she's serious about this business. She put her own money into this business in a business bank account, and there's a record of that. So financial record keeping is incredibly important. And that's why you have, and we outlined here in step 4, obtain financial record keeping with accounting software. And that's why we emphasize it in this slide. Financial record keeping helps you to understand and track how much money you're receiving. That's your receivables. What are the payments due to you from a client, from a customer? It also helps you track goods, merchandise, and services. It also helps you track money you've received from loans or that you've drawn down on your line of credit. Financial record keeping also tracks how much you owe other people. You may have debt. You may have a rent to pay so if you don't know how much money you're making, you need to know that because you have payables for yourself. You have to pay yourself as the employer, as the owner. You take a cut of your business. You need to pay yourself. And you also, of course, pay any employees you have, whether they're payroll employees or other 1099 employees. Non-financial record keeping is just as important. Your legal documents, your certificates, like the LLC, any licenses you have if you're a food-based business, any contracts you have if it's a partner. And by the way, don't forget a contract with your own spouse. We've seen so many business owners think that it's okay to not have a contract with their spouse, and then the marriage goes sour. Or it's okay, it's my mother. It's okay, it's my brother. You need to have a contract to protect yourself and your partner financially. It's best for everybody involved. Also, property documents too for non-financial record keeping. That's going to be helpful if you need to draw on equity for your home, for your business, if you own that building as well, just to put more money in your business. Also, one of the things for a financial foundation for success is to also make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Most especially, so many business owners, small business owners, and especially owners of color in the South and West sides of Chicago, we've seen a lot of businesses have unique needs, mental and physical wellness needs, and that trauma-informed care. So make sure you are taking time to manage yourself first to meet your goals. This is what we're talking about for small business resiliency. Schedule time to complete each action item. You don't need to get your EIN number and bank account all in one day. You could, you just need to maybe take that afternoon off. Take your time. It's like barbecue, low and slow, and you'll come out with something great. You go too fast, maybe not so great, maybe what you want, but also maybe not so great. Make sure you use lists. Lists, break down your tasks into lists, small by, and if you're finding, oh, I got it, this task, I just keep having to put it up, you know what, maybe it's not as priority if you keep putting that task down to the bottom. It might not be priority for you in your business. We know that for women who are small business owners and startups, 2/3 of you are also the main breadwinner or the co-breadwinner in your household. So especially for you, if you're a woman startup business owner, please take the time to first manage yourself and your family first, or else it's going to affect the progress of your business. Make sure you're also using technology. You have phones. See what apps can help you better automate tasks. Merge calendars with your children or your parents if you're taking care of your parents as well. What you can do to manage your own stress, but what can you do to manage the stressors in your life as a business owner? Think about that. We do a lot to try to manage our stress, but we don't do a lot enough. We don't do a lot and we don't do enough to manage the stressors that cause that stress. So think about what you can do to, how technology can help. And mindfully, of course, schedule your time to support your physical and mental well-being for your business resilience as well as for your personal resilience. Now, I want to move into financial foundation for success, obtaining funding. Most particularly, I want to focus on how you can avoid predatory lending as you start up your business and your personal FICO credit score. As you're seeking funding, please work with the City of Chicago, BACP, and many of our lending partners to make sure you are getting into responsible capital. Responsible meaning non-predatory. It's because predatory lending is a growing problem in this country, online lending in particular. It is an option for so many of you, and it's easy to go online. But not all the players are good online. It's the Wild West. And the reason is that predatory lending is not regulated by the federal government or state government in this country. I will repeat this. Online small business lending is not regulated by the federal government or the state of Illinois at this time. So the federal government does not regulate online small business lending. It'll regulate other types of loans, but not online small business lending. Small Business Majority has actually been working on that issue for a number of years, and we hope under this administration we will see sweeping change nationwide to regulate predatory lending nationwide. And it's a growing problem because, as you can see on this slide, predatory online lending can risk your loss of entire savings and home because the interest rates, as you see on the left hand, can range from 36% to 4,000% interest. That's 36% to 4,000% interest. Non-predatory lending will anywhere from 3, actually maybe even lower than 3%, but on average, 3 to 36% interest range. Sometimes you're better off even with your credit card than a 4,000% interest. So be aware as you're navigating lending, please work with one of our partners. You can also visit Small Business Majority's venturize.org website, where we have a tip sheet on avoiding predatory lending during COVID recovery. And the reason why predatory lending occurs is women and minority-owned firms, they typically start off smaller in size. As I said earlier, majority of businesses, small businesses, are actually micro businesses and self-employed. Micro businesses meaning less than 5, and self-employed entrepreneurs, typically small. That means less capital, less money to start up. Women and minority entrepreneurs also tend to have lower approval rates for bank loans and lines of credits. And when they apply for loans as compared to white males, They're approved at lower amounts, as the research has shown over and again, which makes women and minority entrepreneurs more vulnerable to predatory lending, which is why I'm emphasizing please beware of online lending and make sure that you're connected with one of our trusted lending partners with the City of Chicago and Small Business Majority, many of whom are mission-based lenders and provide free technical assistance to make sure your business is profitable. And of course, not the reason why we're saying this is not all online lenders are equal, and they're following you. They're tracking you. How many of you have Facebook? You're probably nodding your heads. How many of you have Instagram? They are tracking where you graduated from high school to identify how likely it is that you are somebody who is Black, Latino, or another underserved entrepreneur of color. They are tracking who you like as musicians to also see that. They're tracking where you go and what you like to eat. And that's how those third-party applications, people spend a lot of money on those cookies to find out who you are. And once you go online and start tracking small business loans on your computer, that's how they also identify you with online lending. So be very careful about your digital footprint. I used to say before COVID, go into the public library and do your research there. But with COVID, everybody is home now and is doing their research for what loans are out there online. So I really want to emphasize being very cautious and navigating that. You do have some rights, though. The Responsible Business Lending Coalition, which Small Business Majority was one of the founding 7 organization members. This is a national coalition that actually is fighting for transparent lending for small business online. It's also made up of some lenders who are on this coalition as well. And you do have rights to non-abusive products, responsible underwriting, fair treatment from brokers. There are actually brokers in the community who want to broker a loan for you, but maybe charge 20% of your principal as their fee. Well, 20% of your principal, that's $10,000 loan. So you're giving a broker $2,000. Broker fees are also not regulated in the state of Illinois or nationwide. Small business lending brokers. So be very careful. Right to inclusive credit access and fair collection practices. The problem with some of these small business predatory loans is you may be signing away access to your point of sale systems and your bank accounts that say, yes, I will pay $200 every month or every Tuesday. Here's the problem. If you have no sales for that day, they will still deduct, and you didn't read the fine print. So that is why we're emphasizing to be very cautious and navigating online small business lending. It is the Wild West. They're not all good players. Some are good, but there's a lot of bad players as well. And beware also of anything that you hear with merchant cash advance. I don't have that slide here, but again, I want to emphasize, and if Geraldine, I don't know, I actually can't type in the chat box, but merchant cash advances are one of the most abusive products correlated with the inability to pay and loss of income and savings with many entrepreneurs. So be very cautious of also any product that is a merchant cash advance as well. It is what we've found plaguing so many businesses and businesses of color in the areas of the South and West sides of Chicago. So they are specifically targeting the most vulnerable in communities that have been traditionally impacted by disinvestment. So be cautious. And here it is. Actually, I do have it here. How you're cautious of considering any online lending and unregulated in-person lending because the broker's fees are not regulated. One of the things that will help you access that capital as you are starting your business from legally establishing your business on paper is understanding credit. 5 C's of credit. Make sure that you have character, your credit history, you repay debts on time, and really understand all you need to do is pay the minimum. And sometimes you can even negotiate on paying that minimum with that creditor. Do you have the business revenue to repay the loan that you have or that line of credit that you drew down on? Capital. Here's that 3rd C. How much of your own money have you invested in that business? That goes back to my earlier example that I gave of Roxanne Rockstar, the licensed plumber, and how she put in her own money and documented it into her business bank account. That is what lenders are going to want to see. capital. That's what we call, what is your skin in the game? How much money did you actually invest in your own business? And having those separate business bank accounts and recording that is going to be an asset to you and help you obtain funding. What are property or assets that can be pledged as security, meaning collateral? We've got some wonderful lenders, partners who, you may or may not need collateral as well. We also have lending partners that can lend as little as $500 with Allies for Community Business or Greenwood Archer Capital. Greenwood Archer Capital was rebranded recently. They're our longtime partners, but they're named after the cross streets in Tulsa, Oklahoma, of Black Wall Street as well. So Greenwood Archer Capital in the south side of Chicago, which will lend anywhere in greater Chicagoland, specifically to owners and underserved owners of color as well. And conditions. What are the outside factors that can hit your business, like a pandemic or industry supply chain? You need to anticipate for that in managing your personal credit. These are the 5 factors that affect your credit score, your personal credit score. And I know I'm going to get this question eventually, probably. People will, if you're asking, what about business credit? Business credit is not seen the same as personal credit. It varies. Not all banks will look at business credit as well, but every bank will look at your personal credit. Every bank, even if you are a $50 million business. So you need to also watch your personal credit. And here's where you can get additional credit resources from our partner at nav.com. And these are factors that affect your credit score. I hope people know that I believe during the pandemic, all of the credit companies actually made your credit score available for free, just to make sure that you were tending to that properly with the financial setbacks that so many families had suffered and business owners. So you do want to manage your personal credit because, as I said, it helps you access capital and credit. It also decreases your expenses. But in the end, to be a resilient small business owner, to be a resilient entrepreneur, to be a resilient self-employed 1099 small business owner, entrepreneur, it helps to increase your financial wellness and mental well-being, managing your personal credit. There are a majority, I'd say most, if not all, of business owners who will say it really helped them, give them a measure of security once they understood how to manage their personal credit and cause less stress. So some next step in resources for you is, I mentioned venturize.org. That's our free online resource hub, which you can also identify and access so many other assistants in the city of Chicago, but you can also match for safe, responsible, mission-based lenders, and also find the tip sheet on avoiding predatory lending as well. There's also some tips on how to grow your business and managing employees too on venturize.org. So please visit venturize.org on your business journey as you start up and as you grow as well. Free resources from our great partners at the City of Chicago. If you haven't already, I hope you have because you're on this webinar, but sign up for the BACP Small Business Newsletter. They have an entrepreneur certificate programs. Attend their expos. You'll see us there, Small Business Majority. And also they have a network of free assistance at regional and neighborhood centers for counseling, coaching, funding opportunities, and training, developing those skills and knowledge you need to start and grow your business. Other help for your business is the Illinois Small Business Development Centers and Women's Business Centers, which you can find on venturize.org. We also have free assistance from our nonprofit partner, who's also a nonprofit lender, Pacific Community Ventures, at a remote assistance. They're based in California, but they're a nonprofit lender backed by the Department of Treasury, providing free assistance nationwide. Our Connected Capital partner at Community Reinvestment Funds will also match you with non-predatory lenders. Also, and currently, please, if you've already established your business, there are grant and loan programs at Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. This is the website. And they currently have back to business grants as well. And yes, our venturize.org website does have community lenders on there, such as community banks and CDFIs. which are community mission focused lenders as well. But do visit the Back to Business grants that were just announced if you may be eligible for that also. And many of our partners can assist you. Some ways to get involved with Small Business Majority: sign up for our newsletter for more free workshops to attend virtually or even in person once this pandemic abates. Our workshops are offered with so many of our partners, like the cities. It's free. And also share your story with us. How is your journey going? We're also that policy organization to make sure your voice is represented in Congress through our Washington, D.C. office, but also with the state legislature as well, and with the media too. So with any questions, I'm going to end it here, Geraldine, and this is my information. And I will exit and answer questions.
Wonderful.
See if I can.
Thanks so much for a great presentation.
Did I end it properly?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
I missed it. If you want to leave the contact slide up, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Is it up?
It is, but it's part of PowerPoint, so just make it a slideshow or a presentation. I'm getting lots of clapping hands right now, Geri. It's great.
Oh, thank you. Slideshow from current slide. Here we are. How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, thanks. So my screen, I can't see any questions.
No worries. I'm going to go through all of them for you right now.
Okay, great. Thanks. And just a note, feel free to email me, and I or any one of my colleagues will reply. I will be transitioning out of this role soon. So I'll be joining the Small Business Administration, but we will still be asking, responding to your questions while I'm still at Small Business Majority, and my colleagues will as well. And BACP, of course. Thanks, Geraldine.
No problem. First question: what are some good resources to research your specific industry?
What we would say was the Chicago Public Library is a really great resource. But with COVID, I think what I would recommend, because there is, for a safety factor, is it depends on what your industry is, but why don't you connect with one of our Small Business Development Center partners, or with one of the city's delegate agencies, and they can assist you with what those resources are online to sift through what those industries are that you would be, what particular industry it is.
Great. Next question: is Intuit QuickBooks an example of financial record keeping with accounting software? Are there any others that you recommend?
That is one that I don't recommend it. I mean, I don't want to say yes or no, but like, it is one that is a product that will not cost the owner more in the long run. Oftentimes, it's a very reliable product. Okay. And many of our partners suggest it. And the reason why is, a lot of times there are a lot of cheaper accounting record keeping softwares out there, but they may not have all the features to make it easy for the business owner. And then they spend time and even money fixing things in the end because it's not, uploaded properly and such. And so I personally recommend it, but it is something that is a very rigorous software, which you want to make sure you invest money up front in something that's not going to cost you time and even more money, especially for taxes, because it doesn't perform a certain function.
Great. Is there any other that you recommend?
Not off the top of my head, but if they work with again, with one of the delegate agencies of the city, they may know of a couple that are good. But so many of our partners, Geraldine, and we've been doing QuickBooks training, even those who've been presenting at BACP. So
yes,
not
exactly.
besides QuickBooks at this time, at the top of my head.
Just want to confirm: is it ventureize.org, or was it with an S?
With a Z, like Zoom, ventureize.org.
There's a question: Pacific Community Lenders.
I'm not sure what that means, but a lot of our lending partners are community-based lenders. And you can find them on venturize.org, but even BACP partners are also community-focused lenders that aren't the large banks as well. There are the CDFIs, and I have another presentation we could do on that too. But there's the CDFIs, which are nonprofit lenders backed by the Department of Treasury. That would be like Allies for Community Business. There's also CNI, Greenwood Archer Capital. WBDC, the Women's Business Development Center, also lends as well as a micro lender too. And then there are community banks. Look at community banks like the movie It's a Wonderful Life. You had George Bailey, and then you had the Mr. Potter. Well, that's sort of an analogy of the community banks versus the larger banks in contrast. So the community banks are like the George Bailey banks in the community. They're really there, and they were set up to help small businesses start up and be the engines in their local neighborhood.
Great. Next question. What is the best way to do market research in your industry or finding a mentor who knows this business?
I'm not sure what industry it is that you have. And so I can't, in terms of finding a mentor, SCORE is one if you would want to start with finding a mentor. But those, again, SCORE is volunteer based, and people donate their time and skills mentoring others based on what their knowledge is. So we do know, like, one of the awardees in the last few years who've gotten an SBA Small Business Award got specific assistance and mentorship, I believe, on contracting with a mentor that they found from SCORE, and it was very discreet and specific. So I would say, in general, the more specific you can be about what your business needs are versus training that you need, the more you would get out of a mentor.
Great. Next question. Are there any low cost or free apps for budgeting and accounting?
There are a lot that are online. Actually, I believe QuickBooks, there's even a test version online that you can download and go and test yourself out with. You can use Excel even. You can use Smartsheets. There's a lot of apps that are out there that if you're starting out for free, and then eventually you'll pay for that pro or premium version as you get used to utilizing a budget and spreadsheets for financial record keeping and tracking.
Great. Are there any resources for undocumented individuals who's interested in entrepreneurship, training, funding?
I would recommend going to our partner and the city's partner at Little Village Community Foundation for undocumented, for that assistance needed. They support the trainings for many undocumented individuals. Another recommendation, I believe they were providing assistance during COVID, and I believe they may still, as well as the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition. Now, they're mostly an advocacy coalition on business immigration policy, but they may still have some business assistance for COVID recovery as well that they could assist for undocumented.
Great. Aside from filing your business with the Secretary of State, are there any other benefits with registering with them?
The benefit is that you're a business on paper. It also, because you're not registering your business with the Secretary of State. What you're doing is you're registering your business as a structured business, either an LLC or a sole proprietor. And by doing that, you also do that for the federal government as well. So you have access to funds, you have access to grants. It really just solidifies that you're legally operating as a business on paper and that you've got the bank account set up. So it's not registering it, it's that you're actually incorporating your business as a certain structure and you're going to operate it that way as such.
Right.
So that's the benefit. It opens it, it really, legitimizes your business on paper and opens the doors.
If you register in Illinois and move to another state and begin opening there, is registration required there too?
Most likely I would check with that state. You could, if you're moving there and taking your business there. Again, most small business owners are majority are self-employed entrepreneurs. So if you are self-employed, you're claiming your business taxes on your own personal income tax. So that's likely your home address as well as a pass-through. So but yes, and I would also check with the, uh with the economic institutions in those states as well.
Right. If you spend money before getting a business account, are there special steps to take to track that retroactively? Or is that just a loss according to business spending?
Not a loss. If you have those receipts, sure, that may help you retroactively. But I would just start fresh on it. I recently did a training, and there was a business owner who thought, "Oh my gosh, I wish I had been doing that. I'm going to start now." I mean, you're not going to be dinged for it. I think if anything, it may just affect your financial forecasts as well, in terms of tracking those accounts. But it start, at the present so that you can see, hey, when am I making money or when am I not making money on?
Great. Next question. Do you know of any resources that help with grant writing?
Uh, for grant writing, there may be, yes, actually, many of the business navigator agencies can help with grant writing because of the grants that have been available through the state of Illinois. I believe BACP may have identified, and the state of Illinois, actually, if you go to the state of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, you can identify who those small business navigator agencies to help you write those grants for the Illinois Back to Business grants.
I am currently researching different ideas. I have to start a business. How do I find out if I will need a license from either the city, county, and or state, or all three?
It really depends on what your business is. If you're a consulting business, you won't need that license. If you're a food business, you are going to need that license for the city of Chicago and other, other regulations as well. It depends on what your industry is. So you narrow it down. Go back to that idea napkin for your business model. What's your business model, and refine that. And that will lead you to, and then work with BACP to identify, this is the industry I'm in, this is the business I need, that I'm looking to start. What are the licensures that I may need to get? Um, uh, and actually, don't forget to include that in your startup budget costs as well, your licenses.
You could also go on BACP's website, which is www.chicago.gov/BACP, and click on the business licensing button. That will help you with some of the licensing questions. Or call 312-74-GO-BIZ. If a business name is registered with a Secretary of State outside of Illinois, is that business name available to use in Illinois?
Um, you still need to check for Illinois because it might be in conflict with another business using that same name.
Right. Is there a cost to create an EIN number?
No, it's free.
Is there resources to help you have a good business name?
No, you may just want to bounce it off your family and friends. How does this sound to you? That's when you want to do that informal market research.
Can someone please send the link to sign up for the BACP newsletter? You can email bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. The February webinars for BACP will be up by the end of the day. Actually, one is just posted. I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions. If you have any more questions, can you please put them in the chat? So if the business name is not filed with Illinois Secretary of State, the name can be used?
Yes. It's a free database. You can just look it up and see.
Great. Everyone is saying thank you and great job, great job. Again, if you want credit for this webinar with the certificate program, BACP Outreach at cityofchicago.org. If you would like to view the recording of this webinar, www.youtube.com/Chicago BACP. And both of those have already been put in the chat. I think that is all. Awesome presentation, Geri. Lots of claps. The email again is BACP Outreach at cityofchicago.org. I'll put it in the chat one last time.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Thank you,
Geri.
Geri, so much. I would really appreciate. What a great presentation. Hope everyone has a safe and great weekend. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all. Be well. Be safe.